Hello and welcome back to the NBA DFS Slate Breakdown for Wednesday, February 12th. We're going to be breaking it down. We got a giant slate of games to go over, 14 games on both sites. I'm your host, Tyler Wiemann, at FlatTyler83 on your DFS sites and Twitter. Now, come join us at LineStar, $39.99 per month. Gets you access to all we do, all the props, all the DFS. You get it all for one low price. Now, let's dive in and see what we can uncover here, starting on FanDuel and the highest owned being Kyrie Irving. 8,900, 23% owned. We have a 14-game slate, so ownership really shouldn't matter too much. Whenever there's this many games, ownership ends up getting spread apart so much that you can kind of play whoever you want, and you're probably going to be a little bit different just because there's so much. But we will still go over high ownership, lower ownership plays. Kyrie, 8,900. Obviously, there's giant upside. There's no Luka. Gafford is out. They hopefully have PJ Washington back, but all of that just means more usage for Kyrie. I'm fine going there. It isn't the easiest matchup in the world versus the Warriors, though, so that's the only real hesitation. But at, almost 9K, he can easily go into the 50s, and I'm fine paying for that. Malik Monk, 7,800, 21% owned. I do think his price needs to come down a little bit with the addition of Zach LaVine. I think that usage is just getting spread again like it was with De'Aaron Fox there. So I don't mind having a little Monk. It's a great spot, but I think he might be going a little bit over-owned in this spot. Anthony Simons, 6,600. He's fine. Portland's been playing well. They are down. No DeAndre Ayton, so maybe a little bit more pressure to score does fall on Simmons, which is always a good thing, but it isn't the greatest matchup. I don't mind it. I don't love it. Pivot-wise, Josh Giddey, 7,300. Obviously, Zach LaVine. And then we also have Lonzo Ball being doubtful. So it just shrinks the usage, more going Giddey way, and more importantly for him, the chance of him playing big minutes is higher. He has that chance to go 32, 34 minutes, and we've seen games where he can go for 50, 60 points. He does have that kind of upside, and it's a decent matchup versus the Pistons, so I'm very interested in Giddey. Mike Conley, 4,800. He is questionable, so we don't know if he's going to play. If he plays, I am interested in Mike Conley for the reason being that they are pretty banged up. No Julius Randle, no Dante DiVincenzo. He's been playing 26, upside of 34 minutes, 29 minutes lately, and he is good enough at that kind of minutes to go over 30. And at 4,800, it's a nice little value spot with also a pretty solid floor. I don't mind Conley. I definitely am going to get to some of him. Tyus Jones, 5,400. The big news here is there's no D-Book. So without Booker, more is going to flow to Tyus Jones, not only with a higher rate of fantasy points per minute, but also just more minutes. Look, the last 3 games, 38, 29, 32. Before that, he's in mid-20s most of the time. So I like the minute upside. It's not the best spot in the world versus the Rockets, who are a relatively good defensive team, but 5,400 is too cheap. He's been over 30 in the last 3 straight, and I would be surprised if he was under that today. Then Tyrese Halliburton, 8,900 versus the golden goose that is the Washington Wizards for us. Look, somebody on the Pacers are likely to be optimal. That's just how it goes versus the Wizards. Only other team that I love going against more is like Atlanta because their pace is 105 something. So Wizards, I'm definitely going to use some Halliburton versus them when he can easily get into the 50s at 8,900. Going over to point guard on DK, we got Moses Moody, 4,100. He has started the last game. No clue if he's going to start again. I don't mind having a little bit. 4,100 is too cheap. However, the one thing I would say is if he's not starting, I'm probably not using him. His minutes are just way too volatile coming off the bench if he is not starting. If he's starting, he's pretty consistent in that mid-20s area and can definitely get there. I don't mind some Moody. Simons we covered, Monk we covered. Let's get it over to shooting guard. We got Malik Monk, Simons, Amen Thompson, 8,400. 8,400 for this dude is too cheap in a prime matchup versus the Suns. I love the spot. I'm definitely going to be playing some Amen Thompson. Pivot-wise, Ant, 9,700. Cannot quit him lately. He is playing extremely well since the beginning of January. He has gone into a different mode, putting up a ton of 60s, tons of 50s. 9,700, I'm still getting there. Doesn't worry me with that price tag. Giddey we covered. And Jalen Green versus the Suns. It's a good spot versus the Suns. 25th versus shooting guard. There's no Fred VanVleet, no Jabari Smith still. Just more usage flows his way. It flows Amen Thompson's way as well, but I do like the upside with Green in this spot at only 7,200. Trey Murphy. Zion Williamson is questionable. CJ McCollum is back, but they got so many guys out. And he has been so good, so consistent lately. I have a real hard time not wanting to take some. I mean, you're looking at a guy that over the last month has had 4 50-point games, another couple high 40-point games, and, routinely in at least the high 30s. So I'm good with getting to some Trey Murphy in a good spot where they are 30th overall versus the small forward. And Tyrese we covered. Getting on over to shooting guard on DK. Simons. Nick Smith, 4,500. The Charlotte Hornets are just a shell of themselves. He should have some upside in this matchup with everybody hurt there. I'm fine taking a little bit at 4,500. Don't absolutely love it, but don't hate it either. Malik Monk we covered. Christie at 5K. He's been getting solid playing time off the bench and has showed 6X consistently with Dallas. So kind of hard to not want to go there a little bit. Also in a spot where, maybe there's a little bit more minutes for him with all their injuries and, PJ Washington possibly sliding to the 5 or something in this matchup. So a little interested there. Small forward on FanDuel, Royce O'Neal, 24% owned. He is an obvious spot here with KD out. I would expect him to start again. And regardless, in the last 5 games, he's played over 30 minutes a game every single game. So at 5K, definitely fine getting there. But no Booker, not KD. No Booker just gives him more ceiling. So definitely interested in him. Washington, absolutely interested in, but very worried that, he doesn't play. He's played 1 of the last 5 games. He's questionable. He has an ankle injury. We're really not sure what's going on there, but we got to watch this Dallas starting lineup because there's definitely going to be some value there. Thompson we covered. Ant we've covered. And KD, obvious bump with no Booker. Very interested to go there. I like that game in general. If you can't know, I've talked about quite a few guys there. Trey Murphy, and then Josh Hart. Josh Hart went off last night, going for 53. OG Anunoby still questionable. If he's out, Hart just gets a boost. So definitely interested in Hart. Even if he's not, out, you got a team with a 104.7 pace, and Hart just does so much for this team. Definitely interested with him and his ceiling. And let's get on over to small forward. Moses Moody, Nick Smith, Royce O'Neal. We covered them all. So power forward on FanDuel, Royce O'Neal, PJ Washington, Pascal Siakam, 8,200. You can absolutely go to Pascal versus the Wizards. The one thing I will say, the hardest spot versus the Wizards is the power forward spot. So I don't love the matchup for them, but it's still the Wizards. So it's still favorable. It's just out of anybody on the Pacers, power forward has been the most difficult. Pivot wise, John Collins, 7,100. Guy has been a beast all season with huge ceiling, and he can show that ceiling versus the Lakers. I don't mind nibbling a little bit at JC, just don't want to go too hard. KD we covered. Gershon Yabusele, he should slide back into the starting role with Joel Embiid out, and in that role he has shown big time ceiling, and at 5,400 he becomes a great value again, and right now he's going totally overlooked. Also on the other side, Nick Claxton is questionable, so it might be a backup that he's against. And then we covered Josh Hart already, so power forward on DK. Bol 4,300. I would be slamming Bol in if he is starting at 4,300. He is way too cheap. He's going to get some minutes. He's at 1.73 fantasy points per minute over his starts, which it's only one game here, but 24 minutes goes for 24. Goes for 41 and 33 minutes. Goes for 53 and 30 minutes. The guy over the last couple years is like a 1.17 fantasy points per minute or something like that. I absolutely do not mind getting some Bol, and I would be getting a ton of him on DraftKings at 4,300. 26% is likely way low for what his ownership may be. He is the best play on the slate for me, especially on DK where he is cheaper and can go power forward, not just center. Siakam, O'Neal, covered them all. Getting over to center on FanDuel. We got Bol, 4,900. Center only on FD. I'd still be getting to a ton of him here. I don't mind eating the chalk. Ownership could be a little lower on DraftKings or on FanDuel due to the price and only center eligible. I love me some Bol on this slate. 5,500 for Thomas Bryant. It's fine. I don't mind it. He's playing solid minutes as a starter. We've seen the ceiling. It's versus the Wizards. It's a good spot. Collins, we covered. Donovan Clingan. I mean, I guess he's probably going to start. DeAndre Ayton is out. Robert Williams is questionable. You know they have been cautious with Robert Williams minutes all season long. I would expect that keeps happening. Clingan, it's just kind of the same thing. He's only averaging 22 minutes in starts. But if Robert Williams is out, I think there is the chance for that 28-ish minutes. And if that's the situation going against the Nuggets, they need a big man. A little bit interesting going that way for Clingan. Now, I don't totally love it. We got to wait for some more news here, but definitely interested to see how that shakes out. And then we got to go Cat. If OG's out, I love it. He just gets more usage, but regardless, he's going to play big-time minutes and huge pace-up spot versus the Hawks, who aren't great inside anyways. So give me some Cat. And center on DraftKings. Thomas Bryant, Jokic, and Karl Anthony Towns. Denver is going to be out some guys, and there's probably going to be plenty of value on this slate to get to Jokic. The issue is I just don't think it's a game that he's going to go for 80. However, Portland Trailblazers have been playing a lot better basketball lately, and if they are able to stay in this game, then it's a super interesting spot. He scored 40 points, real points, versus them the other day. Just a couple days ago, went for 67, only played 31 minutes in a blowout win. If Portland's able to keep this close, then there is that ceiling potential. So if you go with Jokic, you might want to have a Portland guy just to hopefully force that close game. But Jokic's definitely in play. Cat we covered, and that will do it for us today. Hope you guys have a good one. We'll be back tomorrow. Tomorrow there's only a 5-game slate, the last slate before All-Star break, which is also a good reminder that All-Star break is around the corner. These teams could do some wild stuff today, so make sure you pay attention to injuries and news up to lock. I would not be surprised if we have countless people with a surprise out. So you guys have a good one. Let's make some money. See y'all later. Peace.